Good day, guys. Welcome back to my YouTube video, and today we've got some Elden Ring news. Elden Ring patch notes version 1.03. So what's different? What have they changed? Elden Ring's been phenomenal so far, and you know, there's been lots of streams about it, lots of social media coverage about it, and the developers have been watching and listening. So the Elden Ring patches, let's just bring this up here, okay? So Elden Ring patch notes version 1.03. So first of all, they're saying we are distributing an update to improve the stability of the game and to adjust balance. We apologize for the inconvenience, but please apply the latest updates before you enjoy the game. And it's targeted for all the platforms: PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox X and S, and Steam. The major changes included in the latest updates are: major changes include the latest updates, adding additional elements, added the function to record an icon and the name of an NPC on the map when you encounter that NPC. You know, I think that's really good, because one of the major things I find frustrating about Elden Ring sometimes is that, you know, like, you've met an NPC somewhere in the world and you're like, oh, where's that? Like, especially shops and stuff, you know, like the merchants, you know, some of them are all right because they're abandoned shacks and they're fine and you can find them easily, but some NPCs are kind of like, oh, where are those? Added NPC Jar Baron, added new quest phases for the following NPCs: Dialos Nephili, Kenneth Height, man, and Gatekeeper Gostok. Added summonable NPCs in multiple situations. Increase the number of patterns of objects a player can imitate when using the Mimic's Veil. Added night background music for some open fields area. So I think they're all positive changes, especially some of the quests, because a lot of people seem to struggle with the quest, don't know where to go next, or they don't know what to do, or it just seems like it abruptly ends, you know what I'm saying? So they've kind of done that, but now these are just the major updates that they've done to, like, enhance player experience. Now we're going on to the bug fixes. So here they are, the bug fixes. Fix the bug that prevent summoned NPCs from taking damage in some boss battles. So people have been exploiting that. It's been a big thing on social media of people bug exploiting. You know, they fixed the bug that prevented the summoned NPCs from taking damage in some boss battles. You know, these exploits are bad and they do ruin the game and stuff like that. And I'm sure they're going to be fixing much more exploits and stuff, because there are people just cheesing it everywhere, right? So I think that's a good thing. Fix the bug that sometimes prevents the player from obtaining an item after a boss battle. That would be incredibly frustrating. It's never happened to me. Fix the bug that causes dialogue to be skipped when talking to an NPC and using a custom key configuration. Fix the bug that causes the player to freeze when riding. That's happened to me once. Jumped on my horse and I just froze in mid-air. That was incredibly frustrating, like super frustrating for me. So so they fixed that. Fix the bug that causes arcane to scale incorrectly for some weapons. So that should be good. You know, there's a lot of weapons that scale incorrectly, to be honest. I think the halberd is one of them. I think that scales incorrectly. So in situations where the player cannot obtain more than 2 talisman pouches, they've added talisman pouch to Twin Maiden Husk shop. So they've added one of the pouches to the shop. That's okay, that's good. Fix the bug that prevented the user from warping to Sites of Grace from the map at the end of the game. I've not been to end game yet, so I don't know. You know, that hasn't affected me personally, but I bet that would be frustrating as well. Fix the bug that prevented the player from moving to the next area after a battle with the fire giant. Fix the bug which causes some weapons to have incorrect scaling after strengthening. So we've just talked about this. Like I said, the halberd was one of them. You know, it super scaled and made, you know, it went super high. I think the Sword of Night and Flame, I think that was one of them as well. Like, it became the OP sword of the game, right? Fix the bug which causes weapons not to use stat scaling. So yeah, so that could affect a lot of players. So maybe some players have been finding the game harder than what it should be because their stats and their weapons haven't been scaling correctly together, and they fixed that apparently. Fixed hang-ups in certain situations. in certain occasions. I'm not really sure what that means. Fix hang-ups in certain occasions. Fix the bug which incorrectly displays multiplayer area boundary when playing online. Fix the bug that allows a player to activate the Erdtree Great Shard weapon skill without absorbing an attack and using a special combination of items and incantations. So that sounds like an exploit fix. That's pretty good. See, I play predominantly melee, so I don't really get I don't really get to use magic that much, because I go pure melee build normally. I did make a paladin, I was having fun with that. It seems a bit overpowered as well, to be honest. Fix the bug which causes Fire's Deadly Sins incantation to have a different effect. Okay. Fix the bug where the Ash of War Determination and Royal's Knight resolves, where the damage buff will also apply to other weapons without that skill. So determination glitch, it really did need fixing, because what people were doing was they was putting a really crappy weapon on their left hand, like a dagger or something, and then having or having the determination spell on the left hand, and they was chanting it, and it would give him like a massive strength increase for like 10-15 seconds like that, and like 60%, 50%, something like that, and they would just absolutely wreck the game and bosses with it. So you'd have the great sword in one hand, and then you do the determination, and then you just like boom, and the health would just be like bang 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 bang. So that is that's good, and balances out as well. I mean, I bet that was horrible in PvP as well, like just running up and one-shotting people. Just the visual effects of Unseen Form spell. Deleted the ragged armor set from the game, which was mistakenly obtained in previous patch. Fixed the bug that causes some hostile NPCs to drop Fur Calling Finger Remedy. Fixed the bug that causes incorrect sound effect to play in some situations. Fixed bug which caused visual animation and hitboxes not to be displayed correctly on some maps. Fixed the bug which causes incorrect visual and behavior for some enemies. Fix the bug that causes incorrect stat parameter for some armor. Text fixes and other performance and improvement and bug fixes. Like, what does that even mean, just other performance and bug fixes? Like, maybe there was so many they just couldn't list them all, so now they've done some balance changes. So increase the drop rate of smithing stones for some enemies. That is fantastic. A lot of people in this game are being held back because they can't find the bells, or they can't find the upgrade materials to upgrade their weapons. That's fantastic. I think that's a really good thing to add. Added smithy stones to some early game shop lineups. Again, that's a nice and easy added improvement. I think a lot of people will benefit from this. I think a lot of people will enjoy this, especially like when you roll new characters and stuff like that, because it does take up it takes like 3 or 4 hours to do the bell. I call it the bell run. You run down, you get the half medal, you run up to the other one, you get the other half medal, you run to the Rhea Lucaria Lakes Crystal Tunnel, you get the bell from in there, then you run all the way up to the Great Lifts and you get the bell from up there, and then you can start the game. So I think that's good, adding some of the early game shops, adding some smithing stones, like the early ones, smithing stones 1, maybe 2, maybe that's pretty good. Increase shield's effectiveness. Interesting. Increased the damage of all offensive cracked pot items. I've never used them, so I don't really know what they were like. Use them, so I really don't know if they're good or not. Increase the damage for all offensive cracked pot items. Increase the damage for the following items: spark, aromatic, poison, spray mist. Yeah, spray mist. So poison spray mist, they've made poison a little bit more deadly. Increase the effect duration for the following items: uplifting aromatic and iron jar aromatic. Increased HP healing for torrent when using the following items: roa raisins, sweet raisins, frozen raisins. Wow, okay, that's a big thing, because torrent takes some beefy damage, and it's a pain in the ass to heal him. Glintstone, comet shard, comet and night comet. Increase the damage of the following sorceries: gravity well, collapsing stars and crystal barrage. Decrease the FP consumption of the following sorceries: star shower, rock blaster, gravel heimer, Founding Rain of Stars, Stars of Ruin, Great Blade, Great Blade Phalanx, Magic Downpour, Loretta's Great Bow, right? Loretta's Mastery, Karen Greatsword, Karen Piercer, and Shard Spiral. So the Karen spells were really overpowered anyway, in my opinion. I think they was really strong anyway, and they've just reduced the consumption of the FP, which means you can use them a lot more often. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that, because I feel like Magic's overpowered in this game anyway. You know, it's preference at the end of the day. You know, I don't play mage classes, so it doesn't really bother me. I'm not really affected by it. Raised projectile speeds and range of Great Glintstone Shard. Decreased Ash of War, Hoarfrost Stomp's damage, and increased the cast time. Hoarfrost Stomp was an overpowered move, and so I think, you know, they've kind of balanced that down now. Increased the Ash of War's Bloody Slash, self-inflicted damage, while slightly lowering the damages and increasing the cast time. So this was the blood nerf they were talking about. This was rumored to come out, and a lot of people was up in arms about it, going, "Oh, blood damage! They're gonna destroy my build because I'm a blood build and blah blah." But blood affects arrow over damage, you know, especially that blood slash, you know, because you could use it without punishment. But now they've kind of like, all right, okay. You know, you can no longer spam this. Decrease the weapon skill, Sword of Night and Flames damage. Wow, that's gonna anger a lot of people, I think. Wow. So people are calling this the best sword in the game, right? Now, I've got this sword, never got the chance to use it because of how high its intelligence is to use on it. It's like 24 faith and 24 intelligence, and I've never made a full-on faith build that's high enough to use it yet, and I was working towards it, but now I'm like, oh man, is that even going to be worth doing now? Increased the FP consumption and lowered the duration of Ash of War Barricade Shield. Now this one hits home for me because I use Barricade Shield all the time, and it doesn't last that long to begin with. It only lasts like 10 seconds, and now they've cost the FP consumption for it. Or, yeah, is that an exploit? Is it, you know, what do you think about that? Like, that's going to affect me personally because I use that all the time. May have to change my playstyle. May have to create a new build, re-roll a build or something. I don't know. Changed FP consumption, timing of Ashes of War, Prelate's Charge. Decreased the damage of Spirit Summoned when using the item Mimics Tear Ash. Changed the Spirit's behavior pattern. Other enemy and weapon balance changes. So they've done a lot there. They have covered a lot there, right? So what do you feel about these new improvements and balance improvements? You know, I'd love to hear what you think. Yeah, so this is kind of like my first kind of news reading on games. But yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Like, what do you feel about it? I'm a little bit upset about the barricade. Other than that, I think it's overall positive. These patch notes seem to be heading in the right direction, I reckon. I still think they're paying a lot of attention to the game. I mean, hopefully they don't get stupid with it and just absolutely destroy melee builds where you feel like you're forced to make a mage build, you know. But it's just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Right, guys, this was a coverage of patch notes release on the 17th of March 2022. Thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one real soon.